Hello everyone, and welcome to the showdown between the Empire, who's going to be led by Karl Franz atop Deathclaw, and the Warriors of Chaos, who are going to be led by Chaos Sorcerer Lord atop his mighty Chaos Dragon. So without further ado, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So as far as the build goes, then the first thing you guys are probably going to notice is the glorious Steam Tank. So I figured, hey, the Steam Tank might not be a bad choice in this matchup. Oftentimes you're going to be seeing hordes of Marauders and Forsaken, and a lot of units that are susceptible to the Terror route. And on top of that, this bad boy has 160 armor, so a lot of the lower tier Chaos Infantry, like I said before, Marauders, Forsaken, Hounds, things like that, aren't really going to be able to do a lot of damage to it. On top of that, there is going to be Dragon Ogres most likely and some, heavy hitting Chaos units, like in this case, the Chaos Dragon, that can chase it, but if they do, that's okay, because I can countercharge them with Karl Franz, I have Demogryph Knights to help out, and I also do have the Silver Bullets and the Hammer of the Witches, so definitely going to be quite a bit of fun. So the beam tank here is going to be doing some work. It also has armor-piercing cannon shots, which is always pretty gangster, and yeah, one of the more fun units in the game to use here. And for the front line, we do have a couple of groups of the Halberdiers, and these guys are absolute beasts in this matchup. So firstly, these bad boys have charge defense against all. So if there's Forsaken, Marauders, Chaos Knights, anything, you name it, these guys are going to get charge defense against them, which is very useful in this matchup. Chaos is obviously very aggressive, and a lot of the value on some of their units does come from their charge bonus. So the Halberdiers have anti-large and armor piercing, which is going to be very useful against Shaggoths and Dragon Ogres and Chaos Lords. And honestly, they're just a solid, sturdy pick. Last but not least, they do, of course, have pretty good armor-piercing value. So if Chaos does go with heavier infantry, and Chaos obviously is also known for its armor, they're going to at least have some armor-piercing and be able to put a little bit of hurt on them. So in total, we do have three groups of the Halberdiers in the front line. One group of Demogryph Knights with Halberds. Couldn't quite afford the Royal Altdorf Gryphites, which I do think are worth it because of the Terror, but we're just going to be going with the standard group. And yeah, they're a pretty solid pick. Oftentimes, they're going to be going fisticuffs with the elite Chaos troops, like in this case, Exalted Hero. I think he does have a Chaos Sword on a Dragon. He has the Summoners of Rage, as well as another group of Dragon Ogres. So definitely some very good targets. And also, they're really good at mulching down infantry. If you get some really, effective charges, they have great armor piercing, decent combat stats, and a charge bonus of 48 here. So yeah, Demogryph Knights are always ready to party. In the back here, we do have the Silver Bullets. Silver Bullets are going to be the anchor of the army. And against Chaos, I'm a big advocate of not bringing a lot of stuff you have to protect. Chaos is oftentimes going to overrun your front line. Your middle is going to collapse. You're going to have to reform your ranks. And it's a very tough game for sure because Chaos can swarm you. So I've seen people try and bring like 3 or 4 groups of handgunners, and yes, it can work if you're very effective with your protective play and using the Nets of Amnitok and Demogryph Knights to kind of protect your flanks. But regardless, your front line, even with the more resolute halberds, are eventually probably going to buckle. So I think only having a couple groups of guns, personally, I just like to bring the Silver Bullets and a cannon. But yeah, I think you need to go a little bit narrow, and these guys are a great choice because they have stock, they hit hard, and are just very cost effective. We have a Jade Wizard with the Earthblood and the Regrowth. He's ready to go. We got 3 groups of Spears in the back who we have shields on 2 of them just to get the melee defense. But yeah, they're just kind of a secondary line once the Halberds do buckle, or if some Marauders kind of sneak around the flanks, these guys are going to be taking the beating for Sigmar. So they're definitely happy to do that. In the back, we do also have the Hammer of the Witches, which is very, very good. This is a great cannon. It has massive range. It hits like a truck. It's pretty much the ideal choice against Chaos. It can take out Chaos Knights. It can take out heavily armored Chaos Infantry. Pretty much any target it sets its sights on, it's going to do some heavy work. So that's pretty much it. Of course, the Emperor Karl Franz is going to be patrolling up in the skies here, and he is a monster of a duelist. With Gal Maraz and the Reiklund Runefang, this guy can give the business to Chaos monsters. So yeah, you gotta love good old Karl Franz here. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my force, guys. So hopefully you're ready for some good times. This was definitely one of the more fun games I've had in quite some time. For the Chaos Army over here on the flanks, we have 2 groups of Chaos Warhounds, which is a great choice. A very wide army, which is just Marauders and Forsaken. Like that as well. Marauders can honestly trade pretty evenly with Halberds. Although I feel like in a long fight, the Chaos Marauders might win, just simply because of their offensive stats are a little bit better and their weapon strength. But yeah, hard to say. Anyways, Halberds in the front, or not Halberds, Chaos Marauders in the front line for my opponent. 2 groups of Forsaken. He does have a Chaos Sorcerer Lord with Shadows, so he does have the Enfeebling Foe for dueling, and also has a Melkost for my Cav. And then he does have an Exalted Hero. So it looks like he's really trying to control the skies here. So we'll see if this guy with the Mark of Khorne actually is going to be. Wow, I haven't seen that in quite some time. What does that do again? It's like one of those. That looks so cool. I love the thematics of the Chaos stuff. So yeah, melee attack, weapon strength, basically just kind of gives some frenzy. 2 Dragon Ogres and the Summoners of Rage. So guys, let's get the show on the road. My apologies for the ranting. This is definitely a very fun battle, so stay tuned and get ready to party. So right now, the Steam Tank is going to be taking some shots downtown at these Forsaken. Here on the far side, we have taken out 3 models so far. Over here, we also took a couple shots at the Chaos Warhounds with poison, and they took some damage. In the meantime, the Hammer of the Witches is going to be turning its sights onto the Summoners of Rage, who are just now emerging from the forest. So I didn't really know where they were until just now. So Hammer the Witch is definitely going to do some substantial work on them. In the meantime, my opponent coming around the flank with the Chaos Warhounds definitely going to put some pressure on my back line. I do have enough protection, but still, Chaos just has such a wide line. Thankfully, I do have this kind of natural ridge right here, which is going to protect a little bit from flanking. And, you know, he has all of his stuff over here, right? So whenever you see this and you have a flying lord like Karl Franz, his hounds over here, his Chaos Lord, he's kind of hiding in the forest to mitigate the damage from the Hammer of the Witches. You might as well go in and get some freebies. So Karl Franz is going to come in and just smash these guys, getting some really good damage. Might be able to even terror out them, but yeah, probably not. So the Chaos Marauders take a couple casualties. They start with 90 models, so they did lose 2. My opponent does respond pretty quickly, though. His Chaos Warhounds with poison are going to be charging over, and had they caught me, that could have been a very, very disastrous situation. In the meantime, my Demogryph Knights, I thought about charging in to get a free charge here. The Steam Cannon from the Steam Tank. Doing a little bit of work here against these Marauders, but he did come out with these Summoners of Rage as well as this other group of Dragon Ogres, and the Poison Hounds were still nearby, so I figured that would be a bit of a disastrous engagement. So the Halberds are going to be standing firm with their charged defense against all the guns, are going to be opening up shop here on the Summoners of Rage here in just a moment. And it looks like his hounds might be able to kind of nip at my heels and catch me a little bit, but no, I do get back behind the Halberds, which is going to be good. But the Demogryph Knights, for some reason I told them to march through, but they just kind of got stuck there, which is going to be bad because I'm going to be taking this full charge. I do countercharge at the last second. So here the Summoners of Rage take a big charge, and I also drop an Earthblood. So this is going to be a messy fight. Halberds will be piling in a moment, but nonetheless a little bit sloppy though. My Demogryph Knights get the Enfeebling Foe and take a ton of damage. So now the meme tank's going to be driving in here. We have our sight set on these Marauders. The Halberds are just waiting with their charged defense against all, which is incredibly useful. But the meme tank is actually really good in melee. Like, it can flatten these guys and terror out them, so it's going to be pretty effective for the most part. It's a very ugly fight in here. The Halberds are finally going to be moving in. And yeah, this is actually not going bad. I mean, yeah, I guess the Halberds, I suppose, would win. I mean, with this, you know, just looking at the initial engagement here, their charged defense, which is 18, it's not the best, is completely mitigated by the Halberds. And 44 melee defense is really holding up quite well. And I guess their weapon strength is the same. And the difference between their offensive stats is pretty negligible. So I'm pretty sure the Halberds would win this now just taking a look at it. So Karl Franz, in the meantime, is being chased down. So he was chasing me with his dragon, his Chaos Sorcerer Lord, as well as his Exalted Hero. So got a little bit of damage on, but I do pop a Regrowth, Reikland Runefang, Galmaraz, 82 melee attack, 70 melee defense, 628 and a bonus for his large. And his dragon is going down to try and snipe my guns and shut them down, and also maybe go after the Jade Wizard. But man, you do not want to mess with Karl Franz in a duel. He's going to just lay a holy whooping on this Exalted Hero. So you can see Karl Franz takes a little bit of damage, but that Regrowth helping out quite a bit. But literally like 4 or 5 attacks from Karl Franz with that melee attack against 34 melee defense, he is not going to miss. So he's getting in there. It also gives him even more, gives him bonus for his large. And he's just absolutely destroying this Exalted Hero. This guy's just getting put in a trash can so bad. In the back line, though, it's getting a little bit scary. So we do shatter this guy, which is beautiful. Karl Franz, the Emperor of Mankind here, just doing beautiful work. But in the meantime, Forsaken coming around, Poison Hounds. It is getting very messy here in the middle. My Demogryph Knights, I was able to pull back and get some healing off. The Steam Tank's popping in. I do have Spears and Halberds here. My guns are pretty much compromised for the most part. There's just so many Chaos Forces coming everywhere. And the Spearmen are going to be blocking up these Forsaken here, which is not a good exchange. Forsaken are designed at just mulching down lightly armored infantry. So this is going to get a little bit messy here, but nonetheless, these Spearmen are going to hold for as long as they possibly can. More coming from the other side. So the Demogryph Knights and Karl Franz are going to be handling the situation. Karl's going to be landing. Demogryph Knights coming in with a pincer charge from the other side. And you can see these Forsaken. Oh, that guy was about to like get a swing in, and he just got punched by those, not Royal Griff Knights, but these Demogryph Knights. So that's going pretty well. In the mainline fight, the Halberds are holding pretty firm. I mean, over here, they're holding back these Marauders and winning. Spearmen are also holding back the Chaos Marauders. These guys are kind of in the front line with the Halberds and the Steam Tank, and there is a massive Chaos Onslaught coming. So the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, these Dragon Ogres are going to be piling in. I basically been using the Steam Tank and its unbreakable stats to just hold this front line, but it's looking like the pressure is getting a little bit intense here. Halberdiers and the Silver Bullets are all going to be terror routed. And Karl Franz is going to be trying to get away here for a moment because this entire formation is basically overrun by Chaos. Enfeebling Foe going down as well, which is going to be tough, so I really need to fall back here. In the meantime, the Hammer of the Witches is trying to fire, but just the Forsaken are just swarming it. The Demogryph Knights are helping hold, but these Spearmen, who are really the backbone of this formation, unfortunately get terror routed, which is going to leave Karl Franz all alone here. Of course, his dragon is very powerful in its own right, 520 weapon strength. Man, this is just a very messy fight. And the balance of power a little bit in my opponent's favor after this mass rout in the back here, losing the Hammer of the Witches, the Silver Bullets. All these guys are falling back here. But Karl Franz is standing firm. He stands his ground here, giving melee defense and leadership. Earthblood going down. And he's actually doing a really good job, putting a bit of hurt on the Summoners of Rage here, as well as his Chaos Lord. And man, this fight is just all over the place. So, a lot of my troops are routing. Spearmen here will be coming back. Silver Bullets will probably come back as well. But thankfully, these Demogryph Knights did come back, and they still have 11 of their 24 models. So they still have pretty good combat efficiency. So they're just going to be charging into these Marauders, rallying back to their king here. And Karl Franz is still somehow, some way, he's holding. He's actually shaking right now. The Summoners of Rage are just doing so much work. But the Steam Tank is kind of this bastion here in the middle, which is taking this beating. And, you know, it's 160 armor, excuse me. really coming into pretty good effect here. So Karl Franz is going to be falling back. The dragon is going to be chasing me, but I might be able to barely squeak out here. The silver bullets is going to be pushing back in and is going to start firing at this dragon. And Karl Franz is at negative 10, 15 leadership. He's at the point of almost breaking, but the Demogryph Knights are going to charge in and make a sacrifice. And should be able to at least stop him up, but no, the dragon does get back up in the skies here. And Karl Franz is on the hunt. He's seeking vengeance. Galmaraz has been popped. The Reichland Runefang has been popped. 1400 HP against 1300 for the dragon. And man, this is so close. So very risky decision here. I decided to go in. I'm like, okay, I need to alpha strike this guy, take him out. Maybe I can slip out through the back. So Karl Franz gets a decent little attack there. No, he actually just breaks the leadership, but still he doesn't get the hit. So right now I have to run away from these dragon ogres. They have anti-large, they have armor piercing. This is an incredibly bad situation. And the dragon's coming up, but Karl Franz is flying up to meet him. We get a great shot there. And Karl Franz's melee defense holds relatively firm. 700 HP here. And it looks like this Chaos Sorcerer Lord might be going down here. It's incredibly low. And Karl Franz, the Emperor, smacks that filthy Chaos Sorcerer off his dragon. And is going to be able to maybe get away here with 557 HP. Balance of power is really a little bit in my opponent's favor, but pretty damn even for the most part. Spears rallying here. My Jade Wizard and Demogryph Knights are in good shape. Halberds here are able to win the engagement versus those Chaos Marauders, and the Steam Tank is going to be falling back away from the Summoners of Rage to some of these Halberds. So the Empire Halberds are just doing so much work this game. I mean, yes, they've been broken, but for the most part, I mean, since when do you see an Empire front line still somewhat intact against Chaos at this point in this game, right? So, take a look at the battlefield. He has Summoners of Rage left over here. He has Dragon Ogres. He has a lot of power, but Karl Franz has the mobility. I can get up in the skies, take advantage of his leadership and his terror, and potentially chase off a lot of these Chaos forces on the edge of the battlefield and support my beleaguered troops wherever they are, right? So these Spearmen and these Halberds, rallied by the Emperor, very much like the cinematic with the Greenskins in the beginning of the game in Warhammer 1. We're going to be able to buckle those guys off. So those Marauders are going to break. A lot of these guys are breaking. The Chaos Poison Warhounds, 44 models at the mere sight of Deathclaw are going to be buckling. And over here, the Demogryph Knights are being chased down by these Dragon Ogres, which is unfortunate. Trying to get away from them, get some separation and re-engage. And I do have the speed advantage. So from here, it looks like we might be able to break it a little bit. The Spearmen here are in a bitter, desperate fight versus the forces of Chaos. These Marauders and these Forsaken are going to be doing some really good work against it, but somehow they're still holding. And that's kind of the, I guess the real theme of the Empire, right? So the Jade Wizard's going to be piling back in. He's, still a hero at his core, 300 weapon strength and has okay combat stats. So he's going to be very helpful. But these Dragon Ogres, unfortunately, are going to be coming for the brave Silver Bullets who empty their last powder volleys here into these guys. But yeah, it's probably going to be pretty tough here in a moment. Nonetheless, Karl Franz is not biding his time. Well, I guess he's making the best of his time. He's chasing down these Forsaken and these Marauders wherever you can find them. Over here in the distance, we have a pretty pitched little fight. We have some Benny Hill. The Steam Tank is just kind of running back and forth, trying to drag the Summoners of Rage to the Halberds. We're at 1400 HP here, but remember, Steam Tanks are unbreakable. You don't really have to worry about their leadership. And man, it is just so close. And they're trampling the Halberds. Those brave Halberdiers trying to pin these guys up, but man, it is just so tough. However, the Demogryph Knights are going to be coming in the distance to rescue the Steam Tank. That is going to be huge. And Karl Franz is able to rally his men. The Reichland Runefang going down just a moment ago, but Stand Your Ground going down here. And we are able to fend off these Dragon Ogres. These guys are being pushed back by a tide of Spearmen and Halberds and the Jade Wizard. Karl Franz coming in to give Stand Your Ground, but Chaos is not out of this yet. The balance of power is still slightly in their favor. There's Marauders everywhere, 2 groups of Dragon Ogres. But over here, the Demogryph Knights are able to get the full charge on the Summoners of Rage, and with the support of the Halberds and the Steam Tank, they are able to fell the Summoners of Rage. So you can see these ancient Dragon Ogres are going to be going down to the Halberds, Steam Cannon shooting in, and now the Steam Tank is back online. And it has a ton of ammunition, 31 models, and it looks like some Chaos Poison Warhounds are going to be swarming in here. But remember, the terror is huge here. But look at the HP just getting chipped away. We're probably going to get a terror out in just a moment. And it looks like for the first time in the game, the Empire is slightly clawing back into this game. And a massive bastion is just still going here. 19 Halberds, 13 Spearmen. Over here we have 53. And it looks like the Jade Wizard is still able to lead those guys. So Karl Franz is going to be coming over here. These Forsaken could spell trouble for the Halberds, but not on Karl's watch. He does have a 795 HP, was able to get a little bit of healing. And his mere presence and the blood roar of this Griffin here are just going to be doing massive work. And it looks like Chain Lightning going down as well, which might hurt the Halberds, but Karl Franz is able to immediately help out the Steam Tank. And you could see those Chaos Warhounds obviously not up to the task of taking down Karl Franz. So now it's looking pretty good because the Steam Tank is online. Bounce power is still even. Summoners of Rage are coming back, but the Halberds are going to pile in. Karl Franz is going to pull back and prepare for a cycle charge here in a moment. But yeah, the Summoners of Rage just keep coming back. Over here, we do have the last fight between the Imperial forces as well as the Chaos Marauders, and it looks like the Dragon Ogres have piled in to fight, but the Spearmen are still holding. Thankfully, I do have this Jade Wizard nearby who does have the Encouragement Aura, which is giving that extra little pinch of leadership to these Halberds and Spears to kind of keep them fighting. But what's really good is the Steam Tank is online. It can now start shooting downtown at these Dragon Ogres here, potentially taking out models. Here comes the shots, and it looks like it was a bit of a miss there, but still. Chaos is rallying over here. They do have 22 Forsaken. They also have 32 Chaos Marauders, 37 right here. And I'm basically just trying to unify my forces. The Empire, you want to stand shoulder to shoulder. You want to fight. You don't want to be scattered because, of course, your forces are a little bit weaker overall compared to other factions. We're going to be scooting together here. The Steam Tank is going to be continuing to shoot in at the Dragon Ogres, but we're going to intercept them. We don't brace for the charge, but we need to get in their faces. We need to pin them down. These Dragon Ogres are steady, but they're going to start taking those poking spears. You can see their HP going down here. Thankfully, the Steam Cannon and the Halberds are able to break off those Chaos Warhounds and terrify them before they engage. And the Dragon Ogres here, it looks like they're going to be buckling 8 leadership. Karl Franz is going to be swooping in as well. The Jade Wizard piling in. He, of course, has 300 weapon strength. He's able to hit pretty hard. And it looks like the forces of Chaos are going to be routing here as just this Imperial pocket. These Spears and Halberds just so rowdy here. Stand your ground being popped by Karl Franz. And he's going to swoop in at the last second to really make sure those Dragon Ogres are shattered. That's going to be all she wrote for the forces of Chaos. So beautiful game to my opponent. That was one of the most fun games I've had in quite some time. Karl Franz, what a beast. He was able to duel that Exalted Hero. And really, I mean, I wasn't expecting him to do that well, but he killed him in like 4 or 5 shots and shattered him off the battlefield. From there, he took a huge beating fighting the Dragon Ogres and the Chaos Dragon, or Sorcerer Lord on the Dragon, but he was able to just come back, rally his troops, ride around the battlefield, secure different areas. He really, was going to help out his men there. I mean, there were so many areas where it was like Spearmen fighting Forsaken and Marauders, but Karl Franz flew in, he terror-routed them, he cleaned up the fight, and he basically reunified the Empire in that game and got them unified, was able to just get those pockets together that were able to stand up to the ferocity of those pretty much full health Dragon Ogres. On top of that, Karl Franz was able to take out the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, which is huge in that very, very tight, intense moment. And yeah, it was just such a fun game. Honestly, I did like the Steam Tank quite a bit, as much of a joke as, a lot of people consider it to be. I thought it was pretty good in that matchup. Like, Dragon Ogres can kill it and some of the higher value units, but for the most part, it's persistent terror causing against lower tier Chaos troops, and it has like decent AP missiles. So, I mean, really, it wasn't that bad. A bit of a sloppy play in the beginning with my Demogryph Knights, but we were able to rally those guys and make them useful in the late game, which was awesome. Yeah, those guys were pimps. And yeah, as far as my opponent's army goes, I mean, it's pretty good stuff. I mean, Marauders and Forsaken can honestly handle most state troops build. And you saw my formation did get overrun multiple times, but thankfully we were able to rally with Karl Franz. And the Dragon Ogres are always a pretty good choice against Demogryph Knights, Reichsguard, all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, it was just a very close game. So very well played to my opponent, Crassus. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that Empire versus Chaos showdown, and we will see you guys next time. Take care.